Right.
I'm back.
What? You sound different. Your voice is deeper.
It's changed again.
For anybody not au fait with the good stuff history, like Andy was feeling a little bit high-pitched last week, and I had to look at the car park. So, although that is a comfier seat.
Oh, you switched up the seating arrangement?
I sat there last week.
Oh, no. I'm sorry to hear that.
I should have moved the sprites around on the screen.
Yeah.
Really. Oh, that's interesting. I've never noticed, but they actually sit in the right spots.
They actually sit in the correct spots, yeah.
Interesting.
Well, that was good. It was a good pod in my absence. Very good.
Yeah.
Bethanne did a very good job. It was entertaining. Very interesting.
I thought so.
Yeah. So I'm glad you guys were. It was actually really fortuitous the way that worked out, because I think we talked about doing an episode with her for her book launch, which was on Saturday.
Yeah.
And
very successful book launch.
Happened
Friend
to
of
get
the pod.
the man flu the week before.
Yeah.
It's almost too well timed. I was
Oh,
a
right.
suspicious person.
What are you?
Yeah. I get taken out from the pod this last week just
Yeah.
to get that episode in. No, but it was good. It worked out perfectly well.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Glad you're feeling a little bit better.
Yes,
this week. That's good.
indeed.
That's good. So it's the big episode 20.
Big episode 20.
The big one. Almost the big one.
God.
Like the real big one.
The real big
I think,
one's
is
next
probably
week.
next week. But
This is probably our last in-person beach pod for a little while as well.
it is, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be away.
Ooh.
For mystery reasons.
Mystery
Although,
reasons.
like, anybody that's listened to the pod probably knows.
It's
Like,
not that
where
much
I'm
of
off
a
to.
mystery, is it?
But there comes a time in every man's life where you've got to disappear to the middle of the Atlantic with a bunch of friends and try and fix the internet.
That's it. Yep.
And I think I've reached that point in my journey.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm
we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be
keen
pretty
to see
amazing.
what comes out of it. Yeah,
Yeah, same.
it's going to be cool.
I mean, that's why I've been sort of going hard on like Wingman certainly this last week or so, like, but maybe week and a half, 2 weeks, where it suddenly came together and became the most useful thing in my life.
I mean,
this
like,
thing's
what's-
amazing.
Give me the roundup on this as well, because I mean we haven't even really like touched base because of said man flu. It's kept me out of action. But like, what's the update? What's been happening with Wingman?
So I guess if we rewind ourselves maybe 4 weeks ago, maybe it was, maybe a bit longer, I'd popped off after a podcast to go and buy myself a Mac Mini computer, and I had this like intuition that, like, probably the best way to run AI stuff is not on your current computer, and it's not like with a SaaS environment. It's probably to give the computer, like, to give the AI the whole computer and just like let it have its own environment in which it works. And so that was the reasoning behind buying that as a bit of a test.
And having its own environment is like purely from like a privacy perspective, or
you
is
install it on this computer and it has access to everything
yeah.
on that computer, and it can run whatever it wants in the terminal, so it can make stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's almost like, it gets to the point where it's like I can't even like hide stuff from you on this computer, because you can always like, even if I don't let you run all these commands, you can run programs. So you write a program that then extracts the stuff that's in there.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, all right, this is yours now. And it's like when you hire an employee and you go, well, here's your computer on which you will work.
Yeah.
And I think like taking that same paradigm into AI and being like, right, okay, Goose, this is your computer. Like, I'm gonna set some stuff up so I can see what's going on, and then, but beyond that, like, it's yours, and I will assume that anything I put on here is compromised, so I won't have any of my personal stuff on it.
Yeah.
And so it kind of works a bit like this. And so on that computer, I have 2 chief agents that I use, which are Goose and Claude Code. And the main problem with this setup is that it's like a little Mac Mini, so I can't take it anywhere. So it's like, all right, well, I can sit at this computer and do coding stuff if I want to, and I can run stuff, and that's cool. But if I get up at the office and walk into the kitchen and it's stuck, like, I don't know anything about it until I go back in. Or like, it just, like, I can't go anywhere. If I'm going, like, gotta go drive somewhere, pick up the kids.
Yeah, it changes.
I don't know what's going on. Like, and there's this time I was like, oh, this doesn't feel like how it should be. Like, because a person could just let me know if they're stuck, or it could, get on the phone. I could give it some direction, and things would keep going. Like, so I was like, all right, well, how could I run the stuff on here so that instead of like Claude code running in a way that I have to sit at this particular computer? Like, can I run it in a way that I can access it from anywhere? And I was experimenting with, various ways of using like SSH tunnels to manage it from other places and things. And it was kind of working, and I resolved around using like this Tmux terminal emulation type system to run multiple sessions at once that I can then attach to from different computers. I was like, all right, that works really well. And then, so that was like, this is kind of like my start point with it all. I was like, oh yeah, this is, all right, that's cool. And I thought, but I don't really, like, it's a bit of a pain doing it this way. It'd be great if I could just, run the agents and then have like a nice way of talking to them.
Yeah.
And I think I'd said a while ago, like I was really, I get a really good vibe of Goose, but I was struggling to get it good enough, or like in a form factor that it would replace just general use of, say, Claude Desktop for me.
Yeah.
That's gone. I haven't. Like the only reason I use like Claude and ChatGPT now is if I just want to ask a really quick question.
Yeah.
Because they respond fast.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't, and even then I often just Google it in the, because Googling in the address bar just pulls up the Google response usually, which is based on a lot of the search data that it gets back. So it's like,
It's
what,
the
it's
AI
actually
response.
pretty good
Yeah.
for what I need from a search perspective. So yeah, but so then what I did is I built, I had another intuition that I was like, look, the Goose like desktop agent I can't do much with.
Yeah.
And trying to like run that through like a VNC tunnel and remote desktop, I was like, this doesn't, it just feels crap. Like the response rates on it are bad. I just want to turn this into a website so I can just host it at home and then hit it from anywhere. And so I did that. Is like I think I tried this originally with Claude code, and I just couldn't get the wrapper to work properly, but it worked very nicely with Goose. That I was able to wrap the Goose CLI inside, like a little Node.js control plane type thing, which will allow me to just spin up multiple versions of the Goose CLI in a different process thread.
Yeah.
So I could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versions of Goose running at any one time. I could specify different, like they have a thing inside Goose called recipes, and your recipe is your system prompt plus tools plus instructions for like what you should be doing. And so I started to use those, and I was like, okay, well this is kind of cool. And I built like a whole web infrastructure for how you would manage and then monitor what these agents were doing. So Wingman is kind of like your central control system or operating system for multiple agents that are running on a remote computer, and it is fucking amazing. It's like what I've always wanted. So I'm not doing any like down and dirty, like, I don't know, building of agent systems with this one anymore. Like that's obviously a lot of that stuff exists in Everest, but it just didn't seem like it was going to be worthwhile to do that when we've got good versions of agents that I can just pick up and use with Goose. So so effectively how Wingman would work now is I can go on Wingman and I've got my recipe manager, and I can build as many recipes as I want. I can reuse like the MCP servers across different ones, so I specify it once, use many. I can set up, so I have all these different sort of agents in there, and I can set up a new session. Like when I start a new session, it doesn't close the old one. So if you think about, like, say in ChatGPT, if you go from one chat to the other chat, your previous chat stops. That doesn't happen in Wingman. These are all like running systems, so every one of them exists in its own thread. So I can go like, okay, well, do this, like create this plan around this one, and then I just click to the next session. I'm like, okay, now I want you to review this PR request that I've got and update the comments on GitHub, and then like you do this, and I just issue commands. And then at any point from, again, because everything runs on the Mac Mini, like I don't have a good way of explaining like how just fucking nice this is, but because it's always all running on this server that just like sits in the office, if I'm at my computer, I can see exactly what's going on. If I use my phone, I pull it up, I can see exactly what's going on and like where it's at. And then the output of all the stuff, instead of dicking around trying to build like a really good artifact system like Claude's done, I was like, well, I don't want like outputs in a chat. A chat is for having a chat. It's for issuing orders, checking in on stuff, getting updates. Like, it's not for where we display the content.
Yeah.
So I just like attached like an Obsidian MCP server and said like, okay, this is a separate vault that syncs to all my devices. You have full access to everything that's in here.
Yeah.
And so it'll write like all of its product documentation, like all the plans are just really nicely formatted Obsidian like markdown docs. I can like, it's all structured nicely. I know exactly what's in what product, what's what feature, like where it is in the backlog versus active states and all this, and it's all written and controlled by Wingman. But then I can get at it from anywhere.
Yeah.
So it's on my laptop, it's on my mobile. On my mobile, like I was showing you the other day, I installed this piece of software called Aloud, which is an Obsidian plugin, so it'll just read them out to me. So
that's nice.
if I'm out and about, like I was doing it this morning, I was just like wandering along the beach, and I had it reading. I've installed a Grug Brain developer version. I'll go into that in a minute. And I had it reviewing my roadmap for Wingman.
Yeah.
And turning it into big shiny rocks and stuff. Like it was just having it read out to me while I was wandering along the beach, and I'll stop and like dictate my thoughts on the answer, and it carries on, creates a new version. It's just
it's cool.
It's a really natural way of working.
Yeah.
And like you use the chat for the chat, and you use your document systems for your documents. And everything suddenly makes sense. Like it's the right separation of like mental concerns.
Yeah.
And then the bit that I wasn't really getting great responses from in Goose was probably around like the execution environment. So Claude Code is just given a good plan.
Yeah.
I just don't think there's another coding agent. Granted, I haven't actually tested the Codex one recently or Cursor, so who knows? But it is just great.
No, it's
like
it's better than Cursor in my opinion.
And when you give it like a really good plan,
yeah.
I mean, Root Code is great, but because it runs in a browser environment, it's not much good to me inside Wingman. So, but I'm finding these days that Claude Code and sub-agents and stuff just works.
Yeah, I feel like Claude Code though benefits from adding to context as the code base grows, which is the thing we were kind of talking about yesterday a little bit, because I kept finding myself hitting a loop where it would just be trying to like fix a bug with an ad hoc set of fixes that would cause another problem, and then they'd fix that problem, and then it would recreate the original problem, and it was just going over and over. And yeah, I think you'd suggested just going back and getting it to create a fixed document, and so I did that, but I actually just like went back into the PRDs and just went like, actually, this has progressed a lot since that original PRD. Let's spend a bit of time just on the vision documents again and work out like how well this aligns to the changes that we've made along the way.
So I'd started doing effectively audit documents prior to a PRD.
Yeah.
Where and cause like particularly in Wingman, there's a few areas where I needed to do like a big refactor into a different way of working. I was like, okay, well that worked to get it does the job.
Yeah.
This isn't how it should run. It should run like this. And so I set it the task of what's that Goose the task set. Okay, well I want you to go through the code base, go through like all the documentation. I want you to audit exactly how this works right now.
Yeah.
With a view that these are the things that I think are wrong with it, and then that's the world that we should be going to. And it came out of it like it generally gave you a really good audit of what was going on and how it worked that would allow you to then write a PRD against that.
Yeah.
And that solved most of my problems.
Do you use a sub-agent to do that, or do you just use the main?
I don't even like give,
That's the
I don't
thing,
even set any
I haven't
Claude rules or anything like that. I
Yeah.
because I do so much plan, I have custom like agents and stuff to do the planning.
Yeah.
And I think because the plan is detailed enough, like all the context that the execution agent might need is already in the plan anyway.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I don't know if I really need to spend a lot of time with
That was my thinking too.
Claude files.
It felt a bit like unnecessary
It didn't-
and superfluous to do. Yeah.
Yeah, there might be some stuff, maybe I should have a .claude rules or something that just says that, just do it right.
Yeah.
Like it's just, but
Yeah.
but yeah, so where I was going with Wingman is like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, Claude Code's still the way to do it. But what I don't want to do is be stuck in my computer.
Yeah.
So instead, I've got inside Wingman, we've got like almost like a deep dive. It's called the deep dive. Right? It's a terminal emulator that because I'm connecting to like a web server on the machine natively, I can then and again, this isn't exposed to the internet, or like this is all on my own like private overlay networks and stuff, which you don't you don't want to like YOLO this stuff necessarily into the internet. Is that I can connect to that, and then I can use that site to run a emulator on the machine to connect to all the like available TMUX sessions. So I also have like a little Wingman CLI that runs inside Wingman that just provides like a very like lightweight terminal user interface.
Nice.
To like, so it goes like, okay, these are all the sessions that are running right now. Here's all their names. Like you can create new ones, delete them. Okay, click into that one, bang, and then I have Claude Code running, but it can render like Claude Code beautifully onto my mobile.
Oh, nice.
And then because again, I've got control of this whole thing. I was like, okay, the bits I can't do are all of these like overlay, like these key binding commands for TMUX aren't working, so I need something to do that. So I've got a little drop-down menu, and it gives me all the common commands that I would want for resizing stuff and bringing in new windows and closing stuff and zooming. I was like, this is like better than any terminal app that I've found on my machine. So now it's become my like default way of remote accessing the machine at home to do anything. To do this. And I'll sometimes forget because I'll go in, I'll go right, restart Wingman. I'm like, why is Wingman not working? It's like, oh yeah, I just turned it off using it. Like, all right, okay, I'll use one of the other sessions. But it's just it's nuts. Yeah, so then so what I'll do is I'll do all the planning inside. So it's pretty similar to like what we did previously. Slow code, same methodology but different tooling now, where all the stuff happens inside Goose to do the planning, and then I'll go into deep dive, fire up the term, like pull up a Claude Code session and just inside the particular work tree. So I've got a bit more automation about how I create like the projects and the work trees and things like that for Git, just to make it easier to have lots of different feature branches going on.
Yep.
And stuff like that. And I also have like a Goose agent that will rebase and merge like all of my PRs and stuff. So it's like, okay, well, I don't like rebasing stuff and dealing with the conflicts. It's just like, all right, you do that. Like it's pretty obvious what's going on, and it just runs it all. And I just run Claude Code like when we were having a coffee earlier. That's what I was just quickly typing away. It's like, oh, just go and do this. And I just give it a command, goes and does it. It's like
very human, to be honest.
It's fucking awesome.
It's
like,
cool.
I can do all of it from the phone, which was like, So like what the first like phase 0 version of Wingman is just, can I do everything that I need to from the phone?
Yeah. And
I can. I've done like full features, everything. Like, and again, because I've got Obsidian on the phone, I can copy an Obsidian link on my phone and then just paste it into the terminal in Wingman for Claude Code and say implement this. And then soon, so I also have a so then like, so that was like phase 1. Like the next thing I got was like, look, what I should be able to do is, instead of me starting a Wingman session manually, I should be able to just hit an API endpoint. I think I was sending you like the screenshots of this last week, where it's like, okay, now I can just hit this endpoint and it creates a Wingman session with loads of particular recipe, so it has access to like particular data sources and things, and then injects the first prompt to kick off a particular session. Like it's like, oh, okay, cool. So I can have this just run, and as soon as I've got that, it's like, well, it's a piece of piss to now have a scheduler that just goes, all right, well, at this time, call this curl command. Like, just stick that in a cron. I don't even need to really write anything for it. So now I've got scheduling, and I've got like automated stuff, or I've got like any other program, as long as I do the networking, is going to be able to hit this and just trigger off a session. Obviously, like now all of a sudden there's a bunch of whitelisting and stuff in there, because I can't have this coming from any domain. And then there's checks to say like, okay, are you somebody that can start these sessions or not? Because that would be an easy DDoS. So all that's in there as well. But it means that I can just start sessions without being involved. But then as soon as I pull up my phone and I hit active sessions, I can see what's active and what's running, and I can check in on it. And I click in, and it shows me exactly what's going on. I can read it. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I was like, okay, that's start. Now I need like the sign-off procedure, which is like, okay, I've done the work. I'm going to update something. Which I always feel this is almost like the missing bit in a lot of AI systems, because they kind of assume that you're in the chat. So it just leaves a chat message. And it's like, no, I want, like, when you've finished, you should update a system and then send me a message, or you should write a file somewhere, because like dropping a file in this folder probably triggers something else that's going to go on in a batch system. Something like this. It's like there should be like a way of formally doing this. So I wrote this MCP called return to base, which will allow you to take the output of your session. It'll summarize your session into a particular output that's either like a summary of the conversation into a file, or a particular like data thing into a file, or it'll read the system prompt that you've got that'll include like a JSON object, and it will interpret that into a schema, and then it will write a schema for you that you need to send a payload to a webhook. So you have a very flexible way of, every time you call this particular MCP tool, it can go, all right, well, what's the schema I'm using? That's the schema, right? I need to send a message that works for that schema to that webhook, right? What have I got in my? So this is what the AI is doing in the background. It's like, okay, what's in the session? Like, it's pretty clear. Like, that's the output, that's the thing, that's this data, that's this data. So it fills in the JSON object and then posts it to a webhook. Yeah. And like, as soon as you've got that, like, that is also the same thing that would kick off another session, right? It's just a particular payload of data hitting a trigger is what could kick off a goose session. So all of a sudden you've got the ability to go from like a goose to a goose to a goose to a goose to a human to a goose to a goose to a human, and like, that's the dream. So like, it's got all the primitives now. So and this is why I'm like refactoring and tightening up. I was like, okay, shit, I've just proved like a lot of what I've, like the 12-month roadmap. We need a bigger roadmap. Like, what's going on here? But first, I should, make it good. It needs to be good and boring first, that this just always works and there's no issues. But it's sort of amazing at that point, because I'm like, okay, because this is what's going to allow me to very quickly go, all right, every night, what were the commits, right? For each commit, post to this webhook with the, PRs that are generated, like to this PR, and then it says with the instruction, download this and check it and give me a review. And then that goes off, and
off it goes.
It creates a PR in GitHub, and then posts. Effectively, that post to the webhook is then going to spin up a new Goose session, whose job it is to go and review that. And I'll say, look, you give me a review on this, and write a comment that outlines like all of your concerns. And then somebody else will come in, and then your return to base is fire off this person, and this person comes in and reads your comment and then like addresses it, and then fire off this person. This person fires off Claude Code to fix it, and then when it's done, it goes, okay, well, there's a new one there now. And then you go, okay, and that triggers like another action, which goes, okay, well, now he's just posted back to this PR. There's a new, there's an update here. Let's go and review it again. And then you can just keep going through this. And you could have like, one of them could be deterministic. So like, what's the next action? Is it is it a review or approve? Like, is it approve or rework? If it's a rework action, then send it over here, and this person's going to trigger Claude Code. If it's an approve action, just leave it there as approval, and I'll look at it in the morning. And it's like, all this stuff is going to be a case of just plugging in, like building the recipes and plugging in the data, and it just needs to be put in. So this is what I'm going to do to my entire workflow to make everything, because this is like, this is like one of the ways to start catching like the security issues that you've got, and that is to start, all right, well, have versions of these agents with access to, exploit libraries and various things. Just come and check it, like all the time. Like, just do way more review and analysis than you would ever do if you were a reasonable person. And your code is going to be like 1,000 times better. Like, and I'm just like so stoked, because this is just like
it's very cool. Well, it seems like a very cool framework to actually just build a business off.
I think you could, well, that's what we're talking about, right? Like, I think this is the way to do it. Is, okay, you could try it, like, there's a lot of like free stuff you get, and we've discussed this so many times in the past, that when you just like run it on your machine, there's a lot of stuff you don't have to care about. Like, if you build something out as like a SaaS service for something, it's like, oh god, I've got to have this whole like, there's multiple people on this machine now. Like, and what does that mean?
Exactly.
Like, how am I segregating all that? And it's like, I don't want to like it's just not that interesting. Like
Yeah.
compared to guys, like I'll sell you a Mac Mini with this installed.
Exactly.
Like, would you like one? Send sats, and like we'll give you this thing, and then I'll show you how to set it up.
Yeah.
And like, or you just go, all right, well, I mean, could this Mac Mini just be a business? Like, does it even need me? Can I like, what can we do here as a fully autonomous business? Because that's the win. It's like, what are the markets? Like, where do we target?
It's like, if you take the SaaS analogy, is you build a SaaS, that's the engine of growth. You need to sell it like an inch deep and a mile wide.
Yep.
And the hard thing now, we talked about this a bunch, is obviously defensibility, but also distribution. It's incredibly hard. But the engine of growth in this case is just your business, and you've got tremendous leverage from being able to tap into Wingman and all of these agents to go and basically go and unlock a bunch of capacity that business is never going to touch.
Yep.
And you can just build that business off that standard and be really, really powerful. I think that's going to be a huge unlock. It's whether or not you can marry the functional understanding of what can be done and how it can be done with someone who's just running a kind of more like, I don't know, traditional business.
Yeah. I mean, it takes us back to episode 1, the business model of AI, right? Like, it's like nothing's changed in a way.
Yeah.
We just go like, all right, this is how
you do it.
This is a better way of doing it. Like, this is, because, I mean, I already have this like turned to several different ways of like a few different like writing assistants.
Yeah.
And like it's solid. Like the agent. I feel like the good thing that Goose did, and the thing that lets it down a little bit on the coding is like Claude Code is for coding. Can you get it to do other stuff? Like, yes, but it's hard enough. Like with all the pre-programmed system prompts and stuff in there, to get it to stop coding when you want it to code. It's like, just stop. Like, you're doing too much. Just fucking rein it in a bit. Like, but then to assume that same agent framework is necessarily going to be a great like market writer, it's just the wrong base. Whereas with Goose, like they've kept the agent loop inside it quite pure. So it really is a kind of like, what am I being asked? Like, is there any tool that's useful here? What would my next step be? Am I ready to talk back to this guy? What am I being asked? Like, it's
a more general purpose.
It's a very simple general purpose loop.
Yeah.
That I think is going to work very well for like the management agents. Yeah. And like writing agents. It seems to be pretty good once you put in the time to create a writer. So one of the ones I did recently. So I've done like obviously a version of myself where I took like just a whole host of like what I thought was some of our good podcasting output. So there might be a bit of you in there as well. Plus like a bunch of long form articles that I've written in the past. And then I used Goose to crunch all that down into a system prompt that I could use for a recipe with like advice on writing style. And I reviewed it and I was like, okay, not that. I do that, but I don't need that in this instance.
Let's
like,
improve
you
this.
don't need to swear. Like, it's just, it'll just happen. Like, it should be spontaneous. It's just, and so I went through that process, and what was coming out of it was solid. And I've had it rewriting stuff for me. Like I'd say, I was working on the roadmap because we needed a bigger roadmap. I was like, fuck, I've done the roadmap like in week 1. Like it's like, okay, like it's going to take me, it might take me a little bit of time to make this more robust, but there's more stuff to build. And so I was just like iterating on this thing, and it's solid. It was writing really good stuff. It was like in great language. It was coming up with good ideas for it. And I was like, this is interesting. And then I got, there's a blog. So in No Solutions for the podcast feed, there's the picture. So that picture is actually from like a blog. I don't know if that's the original place, but it's a blog called Grug Brain Developer. Yeah. And it's like what I assume is like an older developer who's just like, you just need to like stop obsessing with all the shiny crap. And it's like his like wisdom of many years just written out as like Grug. No like complexity demon, ruin things, keep simple, like say no. It's just like really good solid like development advice. I was like, this would make a good like AI agent. So I like decompose all that into like a Grug Brain Developer to then use that to do like reviews.
Oh, nice.
And like planning reviews and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, now you take my roadmap and you tell me like, where am I adding complexity here? How would you do it? And we got a version of it. And then I sort of went back to my writing agent. I said, look, there's some good stuff in here, and I like this, this, and this, but I don't like this, and then it rewrites.
Yeah.
And you see, like, playing off these different personalities, it's so quick to produce stuff. And then you just thinking, like, the only thing I'm not doing is writing the stuff with my own hands.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm still reading it. The bit I miss is the actual writing and rewriting and, I don't know, pressing the buttons and deleting stuff and going, do I mean that? And like thinking it through. So I'm not getting
Forces you to think through
bit
it, yeah.
of like brain exercise, but you are reading, considering, like looking at different views. Like I'm definitely like, so I'm still I feel like I'm still engaged in what I'm writing and the final output. And I'll usually, like my general way of doing all this stuff is I'll use the AIs throughout the process, and then I end up with something that's close, and then I'm like, I need to just do a pass, and I'll physically rewrite the whole thing, but like with small adjustments and just putting it more closely into how I would think about it.
Yeah.
Or overruling some stuff that there's always like some stuff that's like, stop putting that back in. Like it's there's somewhere down the stack, like it's getting this in its system prompt, but. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're like abdicating your thinking there at all, or is it just a different way of doing it?
Just thinking differently.
Yeah.
It's in the same way that like to me this feels like very natural because most of my career has involved managing other people.
Yeah.
And this is just managing.
It feels like an extension of that. Yeah.
Like it feels very natural. Like I could imagine if your default mode of operation is pushing the buttons.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose. It's not. I mean, again, there's probably. The thing is, this feels natural to me, so I'll over-index on that and go that way. Like, it's not obvious to me that it's the only way.
No, of course.
You have to interact with these things. So I'm sure there's other ways that people will use this where they don't pull themselves out of that bit of the loop.
Yeah, but I think the big insight is that it's possible to continue working in a kind of more management style.
Yes.
Approach to work, which is native to a lot of people, especially non-technical people, and because that would be a concern or a fear for a lot of people, is that it's like I'm going to have to get more technically proficient to work with the machines, and it's
really,
like, well,
it's not. It's
no.
not the way. You need better soft skills.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
well, it's not soft skills. I don't know. Yeah, it's like strategy, planning, thinking, like checking biases, not being overly, married to a particular output that you've got, and like questioning that and saying like, okay, well, could I just throw all that away and do it differently? Because you can.
That part's easier, I think, with the machine, because it's like there's less interpersonal bias that gets kicked into the process as well. It's like, or ego or combativeness or competitiveness with other people in the workplace. So you just don't need to worry about it.
So at the moment, I'm doing some like dueling agents, where like when I want to build something, I build it twice. In two different work trees and just see which one works best. So
Hit them against each other.
Yeah, so this is like where I'm trying to figure out, like, is this something where, do I still need Claude Code? Can I run everything through Wingman? Like, where's the sort of line where Goose is good? I mean, there is I haven't been able to reliably get this to work, but there is like a concept in Goose CLI of Goose runs Claude Code as its provider. Now, I don't know what you get there. Like, because Claude Code itself does a lot of useful things in the background, like where it will, it seems to be more proficient at spinning up, testing, like running environments, checking that things work in a way that like I have to tell Goose what to do and then it won't do it, which like where I'm like, this is like way more autonomous, this one over here. So I don't know if you keep all that autonomy. I don't know if it's like kind of you end up with, as I say, like whenever I try it, it just goes, oh, I'm not working. And I'm like, oh, I can't, I don't have time to debug this properly. But at some point, I think ideally what you want is that the Claude Code is running and it does all the execution work. And then Goose is just looking at the CLI of Claude Code and choosing the next best action based on what it says. And then it's the thing that selects option 2 constantly or shift tabs to just go, yeah, do it and don't ask again. Yeah, do it and don't ask again. Yeah, do it and don't ask again. Yeah, do it and don't ask again.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, we've been through this.
Yeah.
It's like, but do it well. No, don't do that. You're forgetting about this, dickhead. Like, do it like that. And it's like, I won't Goose to swear at Claude for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's the answer. It's just like, tell it it's okay to carry on. We trust it. Like, he can't kill anything. Like, he's isolated.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want over there. Just do it, and then we'll test it. And if it's crap, I'll throw it away. Like, but I may as well just build the whole thing in one shot.
Yeah.
Versus not. And we've already done like a good amount of planning before this. So just fucking have at it.
Yeah, I think that makes all the difference.
Build it 3 times and let's have a look.
Yeah. Find the best way. I feel like Apple might have just stumbled across like the most useful product in their entire arsenal, really, with the Mac Mini by accident, seemingly. Because I feel like this is going to be the thing.
I mean, there is a little bit of me that was like, should I have bought a Mac Mini Pro? So I could have.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, it's quite a bit more money.
Yeah.
But I thought, right, well, this is good.
Well, you didn't know at the time either. It was like worth the experiment, but yeah.
Well, if it's a good enough plug and play, but also like local like the purpose of the Mac Mini Pro would be more local models. I mean, look, you could run Wingman on a server as well.
But that too seems like another reason why it'd be useful in enterprise, because you could just run these things locally rather than having to basically potentially risk your data to the big.
Yeah, I mean,
big models.
The interesting thing is, like, I've said it on this podcast before, but I love open source stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it's just delightfully funny that, like, this is just not a concern of mine. So I'm like, well, your closed source code can't go on big model. Oh, it's just like, this is like the Virgin Enterprise IT versus like the Chad open source maximalist, right? It's just the Chad open source maximalist is like, lol. Just send. You've already stolen it anyway. Yeah, I was intending to. At some point, it's like you've already like read all my code anyway. Like, if you want to keep this, good on. Go at it. Like, it's probably not the best thing to base it off. But anyway, like send. I have more. I can just take full advantage of like whatever, and it's cheap enough that even trying to like run stuff, like the only bit with the local stuff springs out to me a bit more is like, all right, well, what if I ran cheap local versions of this for some of the queries, or like, I'm not doing anything personal in this environment right now. So maybe I would want a more personalized version of this. And so there is I will be spending some time with some of the guys from Maple, I think, soon. I think at least one of them's on the island. So that will be good to look at. Okay, well, can I use something like, so Maple AI? It's like a set of Bitcoiners that built a bunch of really cool privacy tech for a Bitcoin wallet that have then ported that into running private AI. So they have provably privately executed AI, like inside the secure enclave on a GPU. So your query that goes to the AI is never seen by anybody. And then that will run quite fast on like, it's all run on like AWS infrastructure, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But leverages these enclaves in a way that nobody sees anything.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's like, all right, well, that's a pretty good. Yeah. What you're not getting away from there is like the inherent bias in a model.
Yes.
Like that will still come through. So there's still a problem of, okay, well, how do we deal with bias in these models? It's interesting. I was doing on my local models, like I was using DeepSeek, and I was trying to see how far I could trick it into talking about Tiananmen Square.
Yeah.
And it will like more so than the hosted models, I can get it to engage in discussions around Tiananmen Square and what happened. And effectively all I'm really doing is just forcing its context through the system prompt to be like, here's the Amnesty International write-up of what happened in Tiananmen Square. And then I'll ask the questions and see its thinking. Yeah. But if you ask it if it's a massacre, and that is like in the system prompt, like, this is a massacre, this is a problem, this is what happened, it'd be like, I can't discuss this.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh wow, this is like trained in.
Yeah.
Like that's interesting. So, because like my gut feel is a lot of the bias in these models, you can get around most of it by just having better context. like I feel like that's your 90%, like your Pareto answer to this is just what we actually need is really good open source context databases for information.
Yeah.
And you want to draw from that alongside asking the question.
Yeah.
So when you ask the question, you give it all the context that you're probably interested in.
Yeah.
So that's like, you know, we talked to Paul previously about the graphs and what they're building at Stackwork. Like that open source graph stuff, I think is going to be magic. That could be a huge, like excellent resource for the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to have to check in, see where that's at.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But something like that, because then you can pull in all of your bias and all your echo chamber, whichever one is important to you.
Yeah.
And the model will reflect that. Like it won't get rid of this like, no, I just can't discuss that stuff that's like baked into those models. But then we'll more quickly find out like where those rough edges are. It's like, but yeah, it's kind of nuts.
Yeah, so prompt engineering plus context engineering in the future. That's the way to do it.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, certainly for, as I said, like you want to be private and the stuff. I think there will come a point where I'll want to do more private stuff.
Yeah.
With Goose and that, like, okay, so I can do that either on my local model. And again, there's degrees of this, right? And it's like I could run it locally and then it's, you know, it hasn't even left this little box. So that's pretty private, but it's going to be slow. So I'll just run it like overnight when I'm not trying to get a question answered instantly. I mean, this is like one thing that's different with Wingman.
Yeah.
Certainly is that right now I wouldn't use it. I might build like a straight chat version. So you're just talking directly to the API.
Mm-hmm.
But because it goes in this agent loop, it's slow to respond. Like it could take, even for a simple question, it might take like a couple of seconds for it's getting back to you.
Right.
But this is because it's like setting up a new session and like setting up CLI, loading the CLI, loading all your tools, then thinking about what it's going to do. And so it's like, it's not the same as just going to change, give me this.
Yeah.
But what this is really for is like longer running persistent sessions where I can have a ton of them open at the same time. They can talk to each other. They can like pass information around and take actions on them. And it's just like, that's what, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit slow. It doesn't quickly answer your questions. That would be super easy to add at another point. Maybe I'll do that. But I already, because I've got so many subscriptions, I'm just like, I don't need that. That's not the thing I need. What I want is something that I can access from anywhere that has access to all of the information that I want, that doesn't involve me giving everything over to Claude on their website, or it's just the wrong, or running everything in across 12. So like this is the model they've got at the moment. It's like, oh, here's like all of your data across 40 different SaaS providers, like none of which you have any access to. But we can access it if you grant it. And it's like, this is not the model, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
The data is in the computer. You were in the computer. Talk to it. Like, guys, you're all here. Like, we'll put you in a room. You've got the data now. Yeah. Do it. Do the thing. Just do the work, and then I'll check in. Yeah, long term, like Wingman is going to be this like control deck for. I have like at any point in time, anywhere between 1 and 100 agents running, and I need to know, right, what are they doing? What are they working on? So like, there's a whole like, you know, like how, because you go, okay, well, I've got sessions, and then you're like, okay, but then how are those sessions grouped? Like, are they doing like development work? Are they doing marketing work? Are they grouped into companies? Are they grouped into operations or projects, or like how does all that work? Like all that needs to be.
I mean, I'd love to be able to see the interoperability across those sessions as well. So like what information flows to different sessions via different
You mean the flight plan?
The flight plan. Yeah, you know the example
I'm really leaning into like the aeronautical terms.
Yeah. When you said that, I was like immediately just thought of someone in a control tower. That's it. Yeah.
So like this is one of the things I was brainstorming with Grub Brain Developer this morning.
Yeah, nice.
Like, all right, what are the correct like? We can use terms about geese, and we can use terms about flying. Yeah, like these are our things that we've got to work with. I came up with quite a few, and there was like the control towers, the logbook for looking through the history of all the runs. I was like, oh, that's good.
That's good. I like that. Yeah,
like some of these I wouldn't have thought of.
I mean, that
squadron.
That's
That's multiplayer mode.
That's I like it. The control tower operator is like one of the most stressful jobs in the world,
Yeah.
though, isn't it? So this is going to be like the least stressful job in the world.
Sort of. I don't know. Like, you do end up like spinning a lot of plates.
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing. Is there's a lot of multitasking involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of context switching, but I feel like now
You need an assistant agent.
It kind of resolves it because
Yeah.
it has, like, seriously, just like centralizing around, like, all right, I'm gonna put all of my documentation into this one Obsidian notebook that we both share.
Mm-hmm.
Was a huge win. Like, it was like, oh, okay, this works now. We all have access to the same set of notes, and we can all write in there. We've got enough version control to recover stuff.
Yeah.
But it's okay. We can just iterate on stuff, create new versions. I mean, I should like look at doing it inside Google Docs as well and just see how it works, see how it runs. But every time I have to interface with creating a new OAuth identity for an app for Google, I'm just like,
no.
Oh, I hate this. Like, it's just like,
it's such a pain.
I don't want to do that. Don't want to.
Yeah.
It's just,
screw it. Let's just get everyone using Obsidian.
I'll just use something simple. Well, it's nice because like Obsidian's just an app that lives on the computer that I've set to open on login, and it just opens up. It runs. I've got a plugin that runs the API server for it, and then it pops up, and there we go.
Yeah,
we've got it. And then it just syncs to everywhere else. It's like, all right. Sometimes the sync is a bit slow, and I'm like, oh, it's done. It's not there. Have you really done it?
Yeah.
And I go backwards and forwards a bit.
Yeah.
And then inevitably it's just like, all right, it'll be there in 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe I need to just chill out a little bit. Like, I've already saved about 42 weeks on my story points of development that have been done.
I mean,
maybe these 5 minutes aren't the issue.
That is always a bit of a running joke where you get a roadmap, and it's like the AI will still give you like human-centered timeframes for some of this stuff, and it's just like, I'll see you in 5 minutes.
That is one of the rules I have, and some of these is just to never quote timelines.
Yeah, it's pointless.
Just give me story points if you feel the need to size jobs appropriately, but just let's not pretend that this has got any relevance to, like, okay, for the next 6 weeks, nah.
I must say, like, one of my insights the last couple of weeks has been to spend more time in ideation and design docs than I feel is necessary.
Yep.
Because I tend to have this like I'll just get a bit ADHD about it, and I'll be like, okay, let's try and get this out. This is a good enough set of design docs. Now let's just jump into building. But I've actually resisted that a lot more lately.
Yeah.
And given time and space to actually let the idea evolve a little bit, and like try not to even do it in one session, but to even just like walk away from it for a bit and do something else, and then come back to it, and then tinker with the PRD and I feel like the act of spending more time up front on that work just makes the whole process a lot easier, a lot more efficient, a lot more effective.
Yeah, I think there is like a bit.
The tendency is to rush it because you've got the tool to actually go and do this at light speed.
Yeah.
But you don't need to.
I think the issue with it is that you can end up, like, you learn so much from just give me this implementation, and then I run it and go, oh yeah, this is entirely wrong. Like, this whole bit isn't there. And it's like, maybe I just didn't specify it, but it's almost hard to know. Like, it's hard to like think about what you're specifying in that way to know that it's right. That you like, but I think it's just a trade. Like, there's just a slider.
Yep.
And like sometimes, like particularly for big big changes, I'll spend a lot more time on the docs, or I'll leave them for a little bit, and then I'll come back to them and I'll audit stuff, and I'll get them to rewrite and go for a few iterations. But the other thing I've started doing a lot is just keeping like a little active snag list of like, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that, as I'm going along, for all the like little UI things that aren't working, or something where I suspect there's a bug there, but it's not enough to fix necessarily. Yeah. And I'll, like, every now and again, I'll just go, all right, new work tree, snags. Yeah. And we'll go through it, and I'll just like blast through about 40 different things, and it just gives me this like immense feeling of power and energy. I'm just solving like all the shit that bothers me inside the app in one go, and you get such a big boost from it.
Yeah.
But that's been quite useful for me, and it's the stuff where I'm like, I don't need a feature for this.
Yes.
I just need to screenshot a couple of bits, show you what it is, and then iterate on review. And like, it's like code test, like every 2 minutes until it's all done.
Yeah.
And then that's been good.
I think the other thing is like me not like, what I'll do is I'll just try and bash through, even when I have like a different idea of how something should perform or act or function. I'll just try and bash through with Claude Code instead of actually going and taking a step back and reviewing the docs and going, how does what I want to occur here impact the rest of the flow that I'm building, and what does that mean for the, how effectively this product's going to run. And so I'm trying to be more conscious about like stepping out, getting back into the kind of ideation design docs a lot more, and then giving that as fresh context back to Claude Code to start a new session and go, right, let's work from this base now.
It would almost be, it's kind of giving me the idea of like having a nightly, weekly, something like this, like deviations from architecture type job of like going into certain features and auditing them and saying like, okay, well, how does this work? Let's check it against how I think it works. I think it works like this, and these are my 10 bullet points that specify it, and then tell me where it's deviated and where it's different, and then I'll either accept them into the baseline or not. But you almost want some sort of simple baseline that you can have the thing checking back against to go like, look, I expect it to work like this, because sometimes they go, oh no, I just built this other database over here and everything's in that one, and you're like, oh. Interesting choice. And like it's the sort of thing where it's like, well, I can't necessarily just notice that when I'm testing the app. I needed to see that you'd done that, but I wasn't paying attention.
That's the problem, right? It's not paying.
Well, you can't pay attention.
You can't.
Well, right? It's not like if
Exactly.
you're so quick at reading all the code that you're outputting that you can pay, you probably should have just typed it yourself, because you're clearly also a robot.
You're just like scanning at best, looking for stuff. And you'd like, one of my little bugbears with Claude Code is it'll sometimes, I think you've talked about this before as well, like it will sometimes just hard code things in order to make it work. And I won't be keeping a running record of what it's hard coded.
Well,
it
it doesn't even tell you half the time. And then you're like, well, why is this? And then you change something and you go, why isn't that working?
Yeah.
And it's because of the hard code thing, but you get back to that by the auditing.
Yes.
And so I feel like it's the same way that junior developers fuck stuff up.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, all right, so we just need to use the same processes of like, okay, well, we need to audit the code and some of the PRs that get submitted, and we need to audit like this, and like, here's my checklist of things that I'm looking for. And you just, I think I feel like I'm just going through, like, speed running all the pain.
Yeah.
Then go, okay, I need to feel the pain before I resolve it with an automation first.
Yes.
Because otherwise, most automations won't be worth shit. They'll be based on whatever. So let's just do that and like we'll go for it.
Yeah.
It's been like I don't know. I feel like I've kind of personally built like what's one of the most sophisticated little platforms, and it just like sits in my office.
It's very
and,
cool.
Rebuilds itself.
Yeah.
All right, I need to do more with this, but this is
completely.
I felt like the right move before this weekend was to focus on that, because then it's going to make the next 6 weeks.
I think so.
Fly.
Yeah. It's going to be amazing. Yeah, no, I love it. I'm like really excited to see where that goes. But yeah, I've been doing the opposite. I've just been like 80-20ing a bunch of tools that I have that I use on a weekly, daily basis in some instances, and I just don't want to use them because they do way more than I need them to do, and I need a little bit done from them. And so this last week, I had started working on a YouTube reel generator because we obviously need to push more reels out, and it's kind of the bane of my existence because it's like it is just time consuming enough to push them out because there's a little bit of editing that needs to be like, you need to be able to find where the right clips are, which often just means kind of listening back through it. I'd kind of do it at 2.5 speed, but listening back through the pod.
Apparently we sound good at 2.5 speed.
Look,
we're told by friends of the pod.
I quite enjoy it. I'm glad people have pointed that out, but it's that's not the worst part of the job, but it is a time-consuming part of the job.
Yeah.
Finding the clips, and then like I will use some combination of DaVinci and CapCut, and I'm sure like there's someone listening who'll be like, I use CapCut and I can do everything possible in there, and there are guys who do like very proficient with video editing that probably just know exactly what to do.
Mm.
But I just find it time consuming to kind of like work across like 2 bits of software that do bits of what I need, but neither necessarily does everything that I need. But they also do like 10,000 times more than what I need. Mm. And so I was like, could I just build like a lightweight system that I can pop our video in like once we've posted it every week.
Yeah.
We'll use like an agent to go basically transcribe the whole thing and then look for the clips that will, the sections in the transcript that will make the best clips between like 30 seconds and a minute. And then it then extracts those as video and audio, but in 9:16 audio aspect ratio for YouTube.
Yeah.
And I can just review them and I can do little edits to them by like changing, like instead of having the timeline as you would in like a video editing software, I basically just have like a little slider so I can just add seconds or remove seconds from it. Because we've got
overclip it and then just clip down.
And you can clip down if need be, or if it cuts off like mid-word, it often will figure out exactly the right sentence to end on, but it'll like maybe sometimes clip the like the last word.
It's got like slightly incorrect timing information.
I think it just needs a little buffer added in.
Yeah,
but it works.
Always add like a few seconds either way.
Yeah.
But then if your job is like, okay, here's the 10 clips.
Yeah.
Now just make them 1 second shorter there and 1 second shorter there. Like that's easy.
It's easy and it works. And so that was really good. And then I got to a point where I was like, oh, could I make this like quite an enjoyable space to operate in? Try and make it as beautiful as possible. And I was like, I want a little like cool like floating nav bar where I can just run the whole process out of this little nav bar and it can progress through, and just has little like session updates in there. And that is cool. It's actually looking pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. Like this reverts back to what we were talking about previously, because I'd gotten the whole thing like firing, and then I was like, I want to change the UI UX of this whole thing. I didn't go and update any of the design docs to do that. I basically just like went off with a bunch of prompts with Claude Code to re-architect the look of it. And that's when things started to break. And I was like, oh fuck, like what am I doing here? So now I've got a couple of
like
bugs.
a really nice UI, but nothing works.
Well, it works. But there's a couple of little bugs in there. So I'm just like ironing those out. I reckon by the end of today I'll have that like fully functioning. And it was pretty good. Like, I ran like small clips. Like I had a couple of clips from YouTube that I just pulled from there that were like 3-5 minutes long, just so I can test them before I pop in like hour-and-a-half long episodes. And it was pretty good. Like it was finding like 10 to 15 real clips from like a 5-minute video. And I was like, oh,
then we can turn all that input into an MCP server and we can just ask Wingman to do it.
To do it, exactly, yeah.
Do this.
That would be ideal, yeah. So that was that. But there's a lot of little like 80-20ing exercises where, I think the week before last I'd spoken about like the little screen sharing tool I built as well. I'd like made a couple of changes to that. So
I spent obviously a decent amount of time with open source devs in the last decade or so, and you kind of like you just get the feeling with some of these people, they're like, oh yeah, like I just like there's almost this superpower that they've always had of saying like, oh yeah, I use all this software because then when it doesn't do exactly what I want it to do, I just make it do exactly what I want it to do, and you're like, oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
And then now like I can do that, and I'm like, oh shit, this is nice. Like I can just go, all right, I don't want it to work like that. I want something that works like when I was doing the fat controller stuff. It's like, all right, this should exist. It's not anywhere, so I'll just build a version for me.
Yes.
And I'm like, I should finish it off, but I've obviously been super distracted by Wingman. It's going to be quicker to finish off now. It's like, all right, I could turn this into something that anybody could use. It'd be simple enough, and then off we go.
It's like fast fashion for software. But like, I kind of feel like that's just a byproduct of having like so many different demographics wrapped up into a target market. It's like each one has like a small number of things that they want to do, and so devs then need to go and implement like a bunch of different things. But then any one user might not use like 30% of those functions.
There is an economics thing as well of like everybody wants the costs of like onboarding and keeping users seem to have dictated this like, all right, well everyone's software costs at least like $15 a month or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, like, I don't I don't want 100 bits of software
Yeah,
that costs
exactly.
$15 a month. That's a lot. That becomes quite a lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to spend that for my personal stuff. And you're like, well, could I just, even if I spend like $100 a month on vibe coding, could I just then have? I've got that forever now.
Yeah.
Can I just run it on this machine?
Well, I reckon I've replaced at least 2 or 3 bits of software already.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like already paying for some of my AI monthly spend.
Yep.
So it kind of feels worth it. But I did have another like idea that I started playing with the other day. Not for anything like, not for any particular reason, but did you ever play like the board game Settlers of Catan?
I'm aware of it, but I've never actually played it.
Yeah, for me it was like, there was like too much time that's gone on. Like I can't quite remember all the intricacies of the game, but I was like, this would be like a cool experiment for testing language models in like a real environment where they've actually got to they've got a goal.
Yeah.
They've actually got to go and they've got their tiles and you need to go and progressively develop them and harvest resources and trade resources and negotiate. And I just wondered, I want to try and build this out text-based so they can actually play through a game and you could have 3 or 4 players, different models, and you could test them. And it'd be a way of benchmarking those models.
There might be someone that's already converted it.
Probably.
It is a very popular game. Right?
But I reckon you could have the models running through the game in a text-based environment. But you could spin up a 3JS environment, game environment, so you can actually see what's happening on screen as the AI is playing through on a text base. And I was like, I wonder what that would look like. So I started writing up a few docs for it. And then I had man flu, so I didn't actually progress it in any way.
Your problem is you're writing your own docs.
Well,
then you just have to roll over every now and again and go, Wingman, right, yes.
Yeah. Well, I completely lost my voice for a couple of days, so it was couldn't even gotten that far. But yeah, I kind of wonder, I think that's going to be a useful proxy for seeing how these things actually run in enterprise environments as well. Because all of a sudden it's you've got to manage politics, you've got to manage some negotiation, you've got resources at your disposal, you've got competing interests departmentally. How do you play through this stuff? And I was just because I was reading through the benchmarks when they released ChatGPT 5.
Yeah.
And I was okay, cool. But how do these things actually perform when you just pit them against each other in a kind of a game environment?
Who would win? Fight.
I think it'd be interesting because then when you had a new model released, you could just then add that into Catan and get that new model to play off against the older models and just see how it performs.
That becomes the new benchmark.
Yeah.
You've got to beat each other.
It's like a game benchmark for language models. But again, that feels like it's a good proxy for testing a language model because it is essentially how humans would play in an environment.
I've got something similar I've been talking with Mikey about where, again, he likes his tabletop war games that we play, and the problem with those sort of games from a simulation point of view is that it really matters position and line of sight on the table.
Yeah.
And so what I suggested is and then from when I was a kid, they used to have a lot more complexity in around the rules and the weapons and different options and things. And so over the years, it feels like the game got dumbed down in the complexity piece because it was too much overhead for the game. And I thought, well, if I was an AI and I can't physically be in the world, I can understand this game, I can track it, I can see what's going on, but I can't see where everything is in order to play it. But if we compromised there and said that all right, well, instead of stuff, the reality is that you might be here or here, and I'm showing 2 fingers an inch apart, and that really matters, but it kind of doesn't, because you can move so far and you can just go and hit somebody, and it's you're either shooting somebody or hitting somebody or trying not to get hit. And I was well, we can make that the actions is that if you're in the same space, you're considered entangled, as it were, and if you're not, then you have these different options of how you move, and then if you're in the same space, you've either got to fight or you've got to try and get away and shoot or hide or whatever, and you make that the way you issue orders. And then that becomes very simple around the placement. And then you still have all the stuff on the table, and he likes going boo 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 and stuff, and playing with them. So you get all that, and he can arrange them however he wants. But then you issue orders for that set of people. that get taken out. But then because that becomes quite simple, the AI can understand exactly, like, you know, I've got zones A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4. These guys are in A1, these guys are in B2.
Yeah.
Like, that's super simple to report. And you could say, like, you can issue orders sort of in speaking that it can understand. And you say, okay, well, you know, Space Marine moves from A1 to B2. This guy, Space Elf, goes and charges the Space Marine in B2.
Yeah.
Like, and it goes, okay. And then it can resolve, like, everything else that's complex. So then you can get, like, as complex as you want in how you arm them. For instance, they could have, like, 1,000 different options that you could give them.
Yeah.
And then as long as you've specified that beforehand, that's what they've got. And it can just tell you, like, all right, you roll 3 dice hitting on a 4, you roll 2 dice saving on a 3, or whatever. And it does all the, like, all the complexity, all the remembering of rules can happen on your behalf.
Yeah.
We take all that out of it, but then it gives him what he wants, which is like, oh, I'd want to, like, go away and, like, have this team and really think about it and think about all the weapons because I'm a child and I have unlimited time. And then he wants to come and play me, and I'm like, right, I'm a dad and I have no time at all.
Yeah.
So, like, I would like a default version. So, I'm like, and I can't remember the rules because I can't play it often enough to remember them. And so, yeah, so it kind of, like, I feel like it could, like, really fit that gap of, like, putting AI into that sort of game. But yeah, I've been developing that, like, with Wingman,
cool.
just going through, writing the docs, rewriting them, thinking about it. I have my game developer recipe.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably going to be quite complex to get, like, enough of these rules into the language models where they're actually following them as well. Because, you know, the thing we talk about a lot is, like, these models that, like, tend to be really agreeable. And my immediate thought was, like, one model is just going to talk to another model and it's going to say, like, I need all of your wheat to win the game. And the other model's going to be like, you're absolutely right. Here's all of my wheat. And it's just going to, like, devolve into chaos because these things are just going to be, like, there's some degree of self-interest, but they're also, like, quite agreeable.
Well, there's probably a question between, like, what needs to be, like, an LLM rule and what is programmatic. Like, so if there's an obvious next move, there might just be an algorithm. So because you could give the AI an MCP server that returns next best move for Catan from, like, a known algorithm list.
That's a good
And then
idea.
it can decide whether it wants to take that move, a different move.
Yeah.
You say, like, give me the 3 best moves. Okay, let's think about this. And then there could be something else that, you know, allows it to plan into the future or something like
that. That's the
But
bit
these would
that
all be
interests me,
tools that you then give it.
It's like, how
it
far,
doesn't need to be in the model.
How far into the future could you actually plan your strategy out? How far into the future do you need to be planning it as well? I think these are, like, interesting questions for a model to try and work through in order to function in the game.
Business as well, right?
Exactly.
You just say, like, okay, well, like, here's the rules of, like, the game that we're playing, and the game is, I need to make more money than these guys. So, like, how do I do it? Like, think into the future. Give me some strategies. Like, how would I approach this?
Well, that was the kind of the origin of the thought was, how do you know which models are actually going to be most useful when, especially for orchestration in, like, an enterprise environment?
Yeah.
And, like, we don't really have good obvious benchmarks for this stuff. So it feels like the next closest simulation would be a game environment where they have goals. There's some degree of, like, self-interest involved. You need to have strategy. There's, like, obvious, like, resource harvesting and resource trading that goes on as well. Like, how well could you do that? And then obviously, like, you have a matrix for how well it performs because it wins the game based on, like, growth on their tiles. So, like, how do you progress on those tiles? I think it's like a city building type thing on those tiles by memory. It's been a long time, so I need to look at that again. But that just feels like it would be a really cool way to test a model to see how well it would be. It would act as an orchestrator in, like, a commercial environment.
I mean, treating, like, if, like, life itself, right, can be described as a series of repeatable games, you know, like, with memory. So, you know, it matters that, like, yes, in this particular instance of the game, if you cheat, you'll come out ahead, but it's a repeated game, and everybody remembers that you cheat. So you do yourself a disservice to do that. It's like, you know, it's quite easy to dismiss games, but it's, you know, game theory's led to a lot of good outcomes as well. So
so that was.
I'm a fan.
I'm gonna play around
Von
with that.
Neumann, like, good chap.
That's
well done. Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod. Well, I think that was
Possibly.
we've probably gone over time again. But
We're about there. Like 1 out of 10. That's good.
it's not bad.
Yep.
So some good experiments this week. I'm keen to see what happens in the next 4 to 6 weeks. It's going to be it's going to be an interesting time.
We'll probably reveal a bit more about that at some point.
I'm
Hopefully
sure.
we're going to have some interesting special guests.
We've got some guests, yeah.
So
We've got some
should
guests
be
lined
good.
up.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right.
Excellent.
That's the big episode 20. We'll see you in a week for the big episode 21, which is actually the big one.
Nice. See you then.
That's the good stuff.